I'm Kaylin Adkins. My great-grandfather started Adkins Seasoning in 1967 with just one product, which is still our top seller. Today we invited Chef J.W. Morrison to show you how to make the most out of our entire line of seasonings and do it on a tight budget.
Hi, I'm Chef J.W. Morris, and this is Cooking with Adkins. Today we're going to be cooking some poached lobster tails. We're going to be using Adkins grilled seafood seasoning. I'm going to baste these a little bit in butter so we can get the seasoning down in there, and then we're also going to add the seasoning into the boiling water, and that's going to give us a sort of a crab boil flavor. And actually I have a pretty cool story about this particular seasoning. I was working for the crew of the Yellowstone 1883 series, and I was the chef to the cast members. And one night we had a night off, and the crew got together and we all cooked together. And Taylor Sheridan is a hell of a good cook, and he had everyone over to his home. We were cooking together, and Taylor came over and he said, "Is this the seasoning you're going to be using?" I said, "Yeah." And he opened it up, and he reached in, he tasted a little bit, and he said, "Wow, that tastes like it has a lot of cumin in it. You sure you want to use it?" And I said, "Well, it says seafood seasoning right on it." And he said, "You're right, just go for it." So we cooked the lobsters with it. And even though there is a pretty strong flavor of cumin here in the raw ingredient, it definitely cooks out.
Did they actually like what you cooked?
They liked it so well that Taylor's restaurant now carries all the Adkins seasonings.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is a pretty basic thing. For some reason, people get intimidated. It's mostly about the cost involved with lobster. It's a very, very easy food to prepare. It's almost hard to get it wrong. The biggest problem that people have is they overcook it and make it tough. It's a delicate meat. It only takes a couple minutes. I prefer poaching because it's a water bath is a really nice way to cook. Most of the time when you're dealing with shellfish in a restaurant, you're either dealing with something that's been steamed or boiled. It's a matter of preference. Some people like to steam because they don't want the water content from boiling it. I prefer just to put it in water because you get a thorough cook, and steaming can tend to make things a little bit tough. First thing that I'm going to do is take a pair of scissors and go through and cut the underbelly of this guy. All it does is allow water to penetrate it, and then once we're done, it's a simple way to get the meat out without destroying the whole product. And when I take this semi-soft butter, I'm going to add the seasoning in, and then we're going to baste it inside of there. I'm going to also add seasoning to the boiling water in the pot, and we'll end up with a very nicely flavored piece of seafood. I like a little bit of citrus with all of my seafood. I don't think lemon is necessary all the time. I'm a big fan of using orange. You want to come add some seasonings into my butter?
Yes. Generous amount?
Yeah, that's pretty good right there.
Right there?
And we'll put a lot of it into the water.
Okay.
I'm going to pull open this spot that I just cut open, and I'm going to let you take a brush and put it in there.
Okay.
And then we're going to add the seasonings into the water, and that's going to boil it right into everything. This is just to give it a real nice coating in there. And then we're saving a batch of butter to dip the lobster in. One nice thing to note about lobster is when you're working with your cooked material, if it comes up to room temperature and you don't feel like it's hot enough, you never reheat it. But what you do is you make sure that you get butter nice and hot, and then the lobster is such a delicate piece of meat that when you dip it in the hot butter, it just heats up immediately. All right, so we can get the pot going and we'll get the seasoning down there as well. Just like with any other crab boil, you can put a ton of seasoning in there, and then all we're going to do is transfer these lobster tails into the water. We use the term boil with a crab boil or a lobster boil. You really don't want it to be boiling too hot. When you have those really strong bubbles, they break down the fibers in the food. So you like to have it bubbling but not rolling too hard. And this is about a 4-minute deal. You're really looking to do is just have it submerged in water. Come up to a nice little boil like that, which is just about right. You can get a little bit stronger than that. And then as this cooks, it's going to turn bright red. At around the 4-minute mark, 3 to 4 minutes, you'll see a really beautiful red color, and we'll have fully cooked meat. Look at that beauty red already.
Wow.
All right, there we go. And really that's what we're looking for. We've got a rolling boil, but it's not so violent that it's destroying the structure of the meat.
And you leave it uncovered?
I do. You can cover it. You see how that's becoming a little stronger boil now? When you cover it, it's going to trap all that steam inside, and so it gets a little more aggressive than I like, so I tend to leave it uncovered. These guys are starting to curl. We're getting real close already. Hey, we got just about a minute more. As these guys curl up, I'm able to see that the meat is nice and opaque. It's no longer clear. And that's really what we're just looking for. You're just going from that clear tissue that turns nice and white. The telltale sign is when everything's nice and red. We've got it all here. I'd say we're just about there. We've got a nice Irish butter to dip these guys in.
I am ready for some lobster. Ready to try
You
it?
feel free to go for it.
Okay. Let's take a bite. It's really good.
Really easy to do as well. Wonderful flavors, very easy to cook. People don't need to be intimidated by it. We had a nice time with the grilled seafood seasoning. It added a really great flavor in. Now I think it's just time for us to eat.